Racism against the black body is not something explicitly happening in the United States, but it is for sure, due to the country's history, a very unique social issue here. Even though most people think of interactions between adults when thinking about racism, it is not something that only happens to grown-ups. In fact, black children are confronted with it the moment they enter a facility like, for example, a preschool or a kindergarten.
Years of prolonged trauma can interfere with the psyche of the individual. Racial trauma can result in depression, which can have a profound and long-term effect on everyday life. Students with depression struggle in school. Once black students struggle in school, it makes the school-to-prison pipeline more possible, thus creating a never-ending cycle of overrepresentation in the prison industrial system.
Yours is the quest that's just begun.
Many studies have discovered that racial bias towards black children can begin as early as preschool. Black children who attend preschool make up 48% of children who receive out-of-school suspension, even though black children only represent 18% of preschool enrollment. This high rate of suspension is tied to the fact that 42% of preschool teachers stated that black boys needed to be watched more because it is believed they demonstrate more challenging behavior than white children or girls.
Mainly defined as being a disciplinary treatment of black boys and girls in school by the use of juvenile detention centers. The school-to-prison pipeline creates a system that is difficult to get out of. The pipeline plays a role in the growth and the maintenance of mass incarceration. Those who are caught in the pipeline are subject to emotional, mental, and physical abuse, leaving them more vulnerable than before.
To get a little bit more insight on dynamics and inclusivity in the classroom, we talked to Leslie Turner, a preschool teacher at St. Andrew's Preschool in Centerville.
3, 2, 1, go. So what is your name?
My name's Leslie Turner.
And then where do you work?
I work in a church preschool in Centerville, Virginia.
All right, cool. So first question. So what kind of kids are in your classroom, like race-wise? Like how is it like split up?
We have 16 students. They're all 4-year-olds. Some are turning 5. 8 boys and 8 girls. The majority are Caucasian. We have 2 African-American students. We have 2 that speak Spanish at home and English, in Spanish and English. Mm-hmm. And then we have several that speak Vietnamese or Korean.
Okay. So in the classroom, do you think the children themselves are aware of race, like the race of the other students?
I don't think the students notice the race. The one thing I have seen them notice is the students that English is not their first language, and that sometimes have difficulty following the class because they don't know the language.
Okay. So in the classroom, how do you approach diversity?
If it's a language problem, we usually just say that they're still learning and try and have the other kids help them out when they don't understand the language. And we have lots of books that we use that talk about different cultures. You want me to show you those?
Yeah.
We have this fun book. It's called Bibimbap, and it's about a Korean family making a dish they might make in their house. And so when we read it, and we have one teacher in our school that speaks Korean, so she sometimes reads it. And it shows the family going shopping for the food and cooking together, and then that they eat the meal together. I can't find the picture. And so we talk about, like, at your house, does your family eat together? Do you say prayer before your meal? Do you help your parents cook the dinner? Do you go grocery shopping with your parents? So they can kind of see the similarities. Mm-hmm. This book is about a grandmama and abuela who comes to live with the family, and the little girl doesn't speak Spanish and the grandmother doesn't speak English, and how they help each other communicate. And then this book is called Last Stop on Market Street, and there's an African-American family, and they seem to live in a big city. They take the bus around, and it looks like a big adventure. So we try and use some of these books with our students.
Start by educating yourself and your staff on the cultural groups within your school to gain a better understanding how culture shapes learning and how discourse can shape or shut down lessons in school. Celebrating various cultures and their specific traditions can help the children to gain a better understanding and a more positive attitude towards unknown and new things. It also gives them an opportunity to represent their culture and teach each other about diversity. Don't be afraid to initiate conversations on race, but instead embrace them more since they are necessary for a children's learning process, especially at a young age. Books can be especially helpful to introduce the topic of race. Not only do they help to start or guide a conversation around the topic, but they also provide opportunities for multiple perspectives.